Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I will introduce the past perfect continuous. It is a very important tense, so please pay attention and keep watching. Okay, so are you ready? Let's get started. The past perfect continuous tense is used to talk about a continuous event that occurred before another event in the past. Okay, it is used to talk about a continuous event or an ongoing event, a process that occurred before another event in the past. So please look here at the timeline. We have two actions in the past. The first action is a continuous event, and we conjugate it in the past perfect continuous. The second event is shorter. Okay? So how do we use the past perfect continuous? Here we have the structure: subject plus had plus been plus main verb plus ing. Subject plus had, which is the past simple of verb to have, and it is the first auxiliary verb. Been is the past participle of verb to be, and it is the second auxiliary verb, plus the present participle, which is main verb plus ing. Here we have an example. I had been learning English for 4 years. I, subject, had, first auxiliary verb, been, second auxiliary verb, learning is the present participle of verb to learn. Okay? For 4 years here indicates the duration, that it is a long action. Conjugation. Okay, here we'll conjugate a verb in the affirmative, negative, and interrogative form. So here it is. Verb to learn. In the affirmative form, I had been learning, or I'd been learning. I had been learning is the full form. I'd been learning is the short form or the contraction. And the contraction, we use it when we are speaking informally. Okay, so I had been learning or I'd been learning, you had been learning or you'd been learning, he had been learning, she had been learning, it had been learning, we had been learning, you had been learning, and they had been learning. Okay, and we can use the contraction in all of them. For the negative form, we just add not. I had not been learning or I hadn't been learning. So hadn't here is had plus not. Okay? It is the contraction or the contracted form. You had not been learning, he had not been learning, she had not been learning, it had not been learning, we had not been learning, you had not been learning, and they had not been learning. For the interrogative form, we exchange the order between the subject and the first auxiliary verb. Okay? So had I been learning? Had you been learning? Had he been learning? Had she been learning? Had it been learning? Had we been learning? Had you been learning? Had they been learning? Okay? So please practice and practice. Yes, no answers. Had they been learning English all the afternoon? Yes, they had. Okay, so here we use the first auxiliary verb to get the short answer. But here we don't use the contraction. Okay, so no contraction. No, they had not, or no, they hadn't. Here we use the contraction. Okay? So when do we use the past perfect continuous? As we have seen before, the past perfect continuous tense is used to talk about a continuous event that occurred before another event in the past. Okay, so look here at the timeline. We have two actions. The first one is a continuous event. Okay, the first action is an ongoing event and it is conjugated in the past perfect continuous. And the second event is shorter and it is conjugated in the past simple. Okay, so here we are talking about the past of the past. The first example, I had been learning English for 4 years before I went to London. I had been learning English for 4 years. This is the first action. It is a continuous event, an ongoing event. Okay, so here we have 4 years is a long action. Okay, it indicates the duration. So I had been learning, verb to learn in the past perfect continuous. Before is the connection. I went to London. I went is verb to go in the past simple. Okay, we have first action which is longer and the second action that comes after. So here we have the timeline. Look here at the timeline. We have the first action which is a continuous and the second one that comes just after, but both of them are in the past. The second example, he got wet because it had been raining. Here we exchange the order between the first and the second action, so it doesn't matter. So either of the two events can be placed before the other, as the sentence's tense will indicate the order of the event. Okay, and we will know the order just looking at the sentence's tense. He got wet. Here we have verb to get in the simple past because it had been raining. It had been raining is the first action. It is a long action and it is conjugated in the past perfect continuous. Okay, so here we are talking about the past of the past and we exchange the order between the two events. Okay, but the meaning doesn't change. He got wet because it had been raining. The third example, he had been waiting for 2 hours when I arrived. The first action, he had been waiting for 2 hours. Here we have duration for 2 hours. Okay, it's a long action, a continuous event. He had been waiting is verb to wait in the past perfect continuous. When is the connection? I arrived is verb to arrive in the simple past. So we come to the end of the video. So I hope you enjoyed it and see you in the next one.